Welcome to the Unnamed Comic Book Podcast. It's your boy Mars, and as always, with me, my co-host with the most, Mr.
Johnny Raps.
And we are back again for the second half of season 1. We took a little hiatus because we had other business things to attend to, but we are back to give you the most geek culture shit.
It was all my fault. It was all my fault.
No, brother, it's all good. It's all good.
Albums and
before we even get into the comic books and we get into rap reads, and we're going to talk a little bit about Thor Love and Thunder to you guys, what's been going on, man? You've had some awesome raps projects, and we got to show some love to that. Tell us a little bit about what you got going on and where these people can find some of these excellent projects.
Well, I just released over the course of the last, month and a half, I want to say, my last LP, which is probably my favorite, my last EP, which is my third EP, which is probably my favorite thing that I've ever done. And it was a group effort with my boy Aflo in Philadelphia, and I just really I just love how it came about. It was a pure project of, passion and synchronicity. We banged it out in 2 sessions, and it was just amazing. And so yeah, we also had our first performance for that, which you were at, of course.
I was there. It was freaking phenomenal. The album is called Education, guys. Self-titled LP, EP. I always forget the difference.
EP.
EP.
Are the short ones. I don't know why.
I don't know why, but it's 6 phenomenal tracks. If you guys love hip-hop, and if you're looking at this, you probably love hip-hop. It's my favorite, and I'll go on record, it's my favorite hip-hop album of 2022. And there's been a lot of hip-hop albums, including some classic artists, Kendrick, no disrespect to any of those artists. But for someone that just loves raw hip-hop, that's saying something, it was phenomenal. So I'm so proud I had to go to Philly to show love. I'm so happy. Went up there. Excellent project. And then another phenomenal project that I've been digging into all day, yesterday and today. I'm on my 3rd or 4th re-listen. Tell us a little bit about that project that just came out Friday? Yes.
I don't
Friday.
know when it came out. It started popping up on Friday because I was so behind on the artwork. But yes, Part-Time Rapper, which is, also the title of one of my previously released singles, is the name of my first full-length album, my first LP, whatever that is.
I don't know sign language. If I just gave a gang sign, I am sorry. I don't know sign language. I was trying to make a P, but I didn't remember what the P was. So I may have just thrown something up.
Backwards, because
exactly.
Yeah. I feel like I'm graduating. I've been recording since 2018. Since 2017, really, actually. So I was a super senior in training myself in hip hop, and I think with these last 2 projects, it shows that I've graduated, and that now I'm ready to go and get out there with the big boys. And so I think that's, the big statement that, I'm trying to make with Part-Time Rapper. And, I do feel like I crossed some finish line. And I know it may be the first of many marathons, but I crossed some finish line, and now I'm just getting that album out, dude, because I had been working on it since me and Rob started recording. I think the first track we solidified for that was in 2018, which is why I said 2018, because that's how long we've been working on that album. It's just fucking crazy, man. There were all these roadblocks and all this stuff, but I didn't want to, I had this very specific idea and concept in mind for it. And yeah, of course, some of that changed over the years, but I really stuck to my guns and wanted things to be a certain way, wanted the videos to be a certain way, and it couldn't be that way because of COVID. So, it ended up taking a long time, but I'm super excited it's out there, and I actually think that the songs that I chose to put on there, there's not a whole lot of like poppy pop references that aren't like universal.
Right.
You know what I mean? At this
Right.
time, like
Right.
I reference Ryu from Street Fighter,
Which
but
is timeless.
if you don't know who that is, you're just not fucking cool, and you shouldn't be listening to my music.
Or any music, really. You should probably just lock yourself up in a room and think about your decisions.
Yeah, but it's not like some of my music, or like some of my other music mentions politicians by name and things of that nature that may become just dated after some time. But I think this album itself will be timeless.
I agree. I want all of you guys in the UCP family, please check it out. Run those streams up. They're phenomenal. It gets the stamp. I love both projects. Like I said, Education, best hip hop album of 2022. I'll stamp on it. I don't care what anyone says. They'll catch thunder and lightning. And ain't no love and thunder here. They get thunder and lightning right here if they got a problem with it. So proud of you, brother. But let's get into it. I understand you got some phenomenal books that you've been reading for the gang. Before we get into it, before we get into rap reads, I want to give a shout out to two other den mates, Bob France and Kevin Cuffey, the writing duo for the Comic Bros.
What was the first guy's name? Say the first guy's name again.
Bob France and Kevin Cuffey. They sent me a sign. I don't know if you guys can see that because I got the green screen of their brand new book, The Dust Pirate.
You gotta hold it like real close.
Yeah.
Back. In front of your face. There you go. If
there we go.
If it's in front of you, we can see it.
Dust Pirates, super dope. This needs to be a movie. They sent me the artwork. It's Jensen and Pangorn and Grigori did the artwork. Kevin Cuffey and Bob France, they also wrote Metal Shark Bro. If you've never heard of that, Metal Shark Bro is a super dope comic book about a demonic shark that made a deal with Satan that goes out and loves Danzig, and it's just weird, epic shit. And they were some of my first guests on Down in the Den. So they sent me this book, and it's super dope. So you guys go out, check out Dust Pirates, Kevin Cuffey, Bob France, the writers. Also check out Metal Shark Bro. If you want something different that's not Marvel, independent, the artwork is phenomenal. The writing is phenomenal. Writing is amazing. These guys are super talented. And they're going to blow up in the comic book world. So once again, got it in front of the camera. Dust Pirates, please check that out.
Did you get a chance to read it yet?
I haven't. So yes and no. They sent me the PDFs before it even came out, so I actually have.
Yeah, so you got a taste.
Yeah, so I actually had a big taste, but now that I have it in my hands and I'm looking at it, and it's a thick. I don't know. It's about 40 pages. It's not slim. It's a thick, beautiful coloring. The Grigori, one of the artists, his work is phenomenal. If you guys could see some of these pages.
Oh wow, that does look cool, man.
But please check it out. These guys are talented. This is going to be on Netflix. Yeah, everything I say always comes to pass. This will be a Netflix movie in 5 years. I promise you. Somebody's going to buy the rights, and it's going to be super dope. All right. So now that I've done my plug, shout out to you guys. Tell us, what are the raps reads for this week? What do we have popping?
Well, you know what? Before I get into that, I just want to say I really like. We need to big up the independent artists on this.
Absolutely.
And I don't frequently check out those properties.
There's some phenomenal works, especially when I find with certain characters, I have such an affinity to the writer that I was introduced to them. So sometimes when I see another writer touch these characters that are precious to me, I get a little, I don't like what you're doing here. Don't like, or it takes me a while. But with the independent and original IPs, it's like being introduced to Spider-Man for the first time, or being introduced that feeling that you can't recapture. You know what I mean? So that's why I do rock with a lot of the independent artists. They also sent me this bonus book, which I have not read. It's still in a box, as you can see. But this one is the Stairway Anthology. Super dope.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and once again, Grigori also did the art on this. Phenomenal artwork. So I haven't checked this out, but I'm going to check this out. This is what I'll be reading tonight with a big bag of gelato. So I'm very excited to that.
Loving the gelato. Yeah, man. Well, I'll try to get more independent titles on my Raps reads. For me, it's hard because I am trying to keep up with so much of the, the mainstream stuff.
Right.
And it's just, I've gotten into so much over the years. It's like I can't. It's like I can't put anything down, and I just keep picking more up. Very rarely do I put it down. If like you said, if a writer has to like really suck for me to put something down. What's already going on.
Suck or just really butcher the character. When I see stuff that a character's been established for 50 years and you just go, and like at first I didn't like when they did Hydra Cap, especially when they were like, oh no, this is a real Cap. I was like, but then once I finally read it, I was like, okay, I'm in, you got me. But at first I was really pissed off. I wasn't on like
that's why you can't listen to the internet dicks.
Right.
Because they'll just, like the dudes that are, talking about this stuff in, chat rooms or whatever, or fucking Reddit or whatever people go on to vent their bullshit. Like, there's so much haters out there. Like, the LGBTQ characters gets no love from, like,
oh god. And it's always like a 12-year-old or a 40-year-old in his mom's basement that's like, that's not my. I remember when they came out with Iceman being gay, and people were, that's not my Iceman. I'm like, dude, he's not anybody's Iceman. He's not real. He's a fictional character. It can be whatever the writer wants it to be. Enjoy it. Just enjoy the damn ride. So, yeah, or when they race swap someone in a movie. I remember when Idris Elba, now everybody loves Heimdall, but they were like, it's Norse mythology. How dare they make a black man? And I was like, black man existed back then. We've been around a lot for a while. Sorry, I'm super dehydrated. I had some stuff. Woo, Cottonmouth is real. So
Raps reads.
Let's go.
Raps reads. It's all Marvel, bro.
Hey,
all Marvel.
The M isn't just for Mars; it's for Marvel. I'm a Marvel head deep down inside. Love DC, but I'm a Marvel head.
Day anyway. So Thor Day anyway. So we've got a little bit of that on here. But starting at the top, I got Venom number 8. Was it Venom number 8? I didn't check that one. I didn't fact check that one. Hold on 1 second while I double check this one. Because I went off to the top of the dome with that. I forgot to check it. Fuck, I'm sorry, bro.
No, that's no problem. You might have sent it to me. I'm going to look on mine.
No, I didn't send you a list of any sort. So, I got this though. You're like, we're in the middle of the show.
But I'll
it's number 8. I'm an idiot. It's number 8. Doubt myself when I'm high. You know what I mean?
No, that's the story of my life, literally.
You're like, I thought I knew it, but I mean, I could be wrong. Sorry. Let me start over with that one. Raps reads number 1.
Reads number 1.
Well, I guess it would be number 5.
Number 5.
I'm just
Yeah,
gonna go back.
no one counts down backwards. I don't know why I said number one. I was like, no one goes my top five and number one. No one does that. I don't know why my brain made that happen.
No, man. I said it first. I said number one, and then you just echoed it. You were being my hype man.
I am. Flavor Flav and Spliff Star is like I'm a hype man extraordinaire. So
Venom number 8. Venom versus Kang.
wow.
I'm gonna say it again. Venom versus Kang at the end of time and space.
I mean, the concept alone is phenomenal. I love one thing with Kevin Feige being in charge of all things Marvel. I've noticed it's almost a roadmap to what's about to happen in the MCU, or like a testing ground for what they think may stick in the MCU. So I'm super excited to hear about this. Kang and Venom are two of my favorite characters by far, especially Venom.
Venom has a lot of cosmic power now because he's become the King in Black.
Right.
At least Eddie Brock Venom has. His son is also Venom.
And isn't he also like, isn't the consciousness of not Eddie, Flash Gordon also?
He is, yeah, his consciousness is in, like, the hive mind.
Yeah, it's in like the hive mind. Right.
Which is the name of, like, that symbiote race.
Race, right.
And now that Eddie is King in Black, he has tapped into all Clintar consciousness. And his body, earlier in this volume of the series, was blown up. He was just destroyed. But his consciousness remains within the Clintar.
Right. So he can reformate his body or look like anyone, really.
Yeah. And you know, they may have even borrowed this from No Way Home, because like what he's doing is his consciousness is taking these quantum leaps basically through space-time into other symbiotes. So, he ends up getting stranded at the end of space-time a couple issues ago with a couple other crazy ass fucking other symbiote dudes that have been other Kings in Black at the same time.
Nice.
And then there's a dude named Meridius who claims to be the future and ultimate King in Black. And he is clearly very abusive to all the other dudes that are there. And he comes and goes as he pleases, and then he just keeps all the other Kings in Blacks trapped there. And Eddie has, figured out a little bit how to jump through time and space. So he's trying to jump his way back. But it's just like a shot in the dark type thing, and he ends up in some crazy, of the future of our timeline, where Kang is controlling like an army of Clintar.
Interesting.
And after a scuffle and everything, they start talking, and Kang realizes that Venom doesn't know him, but really, like, Venom was his minion for like thousands of years.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
He's like, oh, yeah, I'm your future.
Yeah, you work for me, essentially.
Yeah, like, get ready.
It's coming.
He's like, yeah, it's the past you. You don't know me.
But you will.
I'm from your future, you're from my past. is what he says.
I love the time windy stuff. It'll give you a massive migraine, but I just love it because they play loose and whatever the writers say the rules are, that's what it's going to be.
Well,
But
Kang by far has the least rules, I think, as far
oh
as
yeah, absolutely. There's so many. The fact that there's a council of kings, like a council, you know what I mean? There's so many.
Council reads. There's
Yeah, it's awesome.
yeah,
The Council of Ricks for the Rick and Morty fans. Just random.
always bring it back around to Rick and Morty.
Got to.
Yeah. So that was a great issue. I'm not going to tell you guys how it ends. I gave you a lot of backstory, and I did, spoil some of the surprises for you, but it's still worth reading, man. This whole series, written by Al Ewing, is just incredible. And I was very sad to see Donny Cates leave Venom.
He's done a phenomenal job. He's done a phenomenal.
They just swapped.
Yeah, just swap.
They just
It's usually a scheduling thing.
Hulk to Thor. Or sorry, Ewing went from Hulk to Venom, and Cates went from Venom
The Hulk.
to Hulk.
Yeah.
He's also doing Thor. But I gotta time out from that subject. We're gonna come back around. Just remember that.
The pin in it.
I'm back around because number 4 on my list is Amazing Spider-Man number 3. The new current run of Amazing Spider-Man. Where I'm gonna sound fucking stupid because I forgot the writer's name.
We can Google it. We'll put it on the screen.
This is stuff I need to take notes on before I fucking jump on the camera. Try to write this shit down. I got it all on my catalog thing. It's volume 6. It's crazy, bro. This is volume 6 of Amazing Spider-Man.
That's crazy. That
means
gotta be one of the
for you
longest running.
That's the 6th time they've renumbered.
Rebooted. Yeah.
And what's funny is, for a long, long time, they never did that.
Right. That was more of a DC thing.
The first volume made it to before they ever renumbered, but it was like well into the 400s at least. So, Spider-Man, Volume 6, Number 3 by Zeb Wells. I'm sorry. Zeb Wells. Yes. He also did a really good run of Uncanny Avengers. He was the last writer on Uncanny Avengers,
which was one of my favorite series by far.
But I don't know. It was fucking amazing, and I don't know why they, like, the greatest idea ever. I don't know why they did away with it. I think, by like anything good, they'll bring it back.
We'll bring it back. Yeah, there'll be an alternate universe version. It'll come.
Yeah, man, I miss it, and it was always, top of my poll list for a long time. Rick Remender, Jerry Duggan, and then Zeb Wells. So now Zeb Wells was one of the writers that they had on the end of the last volume. After Nick Spencer was done, they've been kind of just, I feel like, testing writers, or just either treating it like a TV show.
Yeah, with different showrunners, essentially.
It was like a couple different writers every book. But that was a very interesting series, and I definitely thought Zeb Wells' issues were all the best. So, I'm glad to see he's fully taken the reins. The story is already off to like a really, really good start. I gotta say, my favorite artist of all time, John Romita Jr. drawing Spider-Man yet again. It's just
Home.
it's what I call art.
Facts.
It's
No.
what I call art. And you know, I do think that in like his older age, John Romita Jr. will phone it in with certain titles. Like I look at some of the stuff he did with Superman, Bendis, and I'm just like, I feel like he was just scribbling.
It probably
Could have been the inker,
yeah, it could have been, but I think his
the colorist.
character say he has a heart. His heart is in. He's going to give that 110%.
Well, I think Spidey's his fucking favorite.
Oh yeah, by far, you can tell.
Shows it every time he draws them, man. And he's back on as the main artist, and they're 4 issues in. I haven't read the 4th issue yet, but Amazing Spider-Man number 3, big Tombstone story. The way this stuff reads is like an old Jerry Conway Spider-Man comic. It's just, it's very like, there's a lot to do with the mob scene in it. Tombstone, Hammerhead, involves a lot of that level,
right?
Street level.
Which I think is where Spider-Man is his best, to be completely honest.
Oh yeah, so good. So, Tombstone, I'll cut to the chase. I want you guys to go read the whole series. It's so good so far. And like I said, the tone itself, which lends itself to a very classic feel, and it brings back characters that you have not seen in a very long time. And you may not even know them. He brought back this character, Digger, who was I've only seen that character in 1 issue ever, and that's when it was like introduced. Maybe it was like the first couple issues was like the story there, and it was about like a mobster or like a bunch of mobsters that came in contact with like toxic waste, and they all like bonded together and became one thing.
Super gross.
Yeah, super gross. And
human Voltron.
yeah, I think it has something to do with gamma energy too.
Of course, the
So
Marvel loves gamma.
If they brought this character back, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Digger show up in the Hulk, because he's kind of like zombie-like looking, growing green and shit, and just talks like a mobster.
I can see him now. Him versus Joe Fitz at Hulk. That would be dope.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Savage, but an Amazing Spider-Man number 3. It is primarily, we've reached a point where the story is focused on Tombstone as the main bad guy, and there's actually like a bit of a flashback scene where we see why Tombstone does the whispering thing, because he always whispers. Folks
right.
that have always read classic Spider-Man, Tombstone is an albino
black guy.
an albino black guy who is a mob boss, a very threatening mob boss, and his skin is impenetrable.
Very
sharp.
Very Luke Cage like. Yeah. His powers are almost the same as Luke Cage, essentially.
But he has sharp teeth.
Yeah.
Which he is chiseled down himself. And in Nick Spencer's run, which is the previous run of Spider-Man, it actually, he got a little soft. He started getting a little soft. At one point, he teams up with Robbie Robertson.
Right.
Who is actually like his fucking nemesis.
I was about to say, but if I recall, weren't they like childhood friends, like Tombstone and Robbie Robertson? I know Robbie Robertson is like Peter Parker's mentor at the Daily Bugle.
Yeah.
But if I'm not mistaken, and maybe that was just a cartoon, but I thought they were like childhood friends.
They did grow up together.
Yeah.
I have to go back and reread it.
Yeah.
It happened in Spectacular Spider-Man. All all of the classic Robbie Robertson versus Tombstone comics happened in the old Spectacular Spider-Man from like the 80s, I want to say. But I mean, for God's sake, Robbie Robertson impaled him with a pitchfork. So Tombstone not befriending him, but
Working
teaming
with
up in some instance where they needed to team up was a little out of character for him. The big caveat to this, and the reason why it happened, is because his son, Randy Robertson, Peter's former roommate, is dating his daughter, who is the current Beetle.
Okay.
From the female Sinister Six. So there's all kinds of convoluted
lines crossing.
Yeah. And this story is really good. I just want to, I want to focus on the fact that it has that really interesting flashback scene, which lets us know why he whispers. Basically, Tombstone gets slighted. He's been slighted, and he has announced that he is fucking done being soft, and just like he's gonna come take out Spider-Man, and he's gonna fuck this guy up and fuck that guy up, and I think it's like the issue prior where Randy Robertson asks him for his daughter's hand in marriage,
which is hilarious.
And he doesn't say yes, but he doesn't say no. And the big cliffhanger is he's like, I'm going to go show Randy Robertson's boy what happens when he tries to marry my daughter. There's also a point where he has caps on his teeth. He put caps on his teeth to look more normal at one point, and he fucking breaks them shits off.
I love it. He's like, I'm back. I tried. They keep pulling me back in. It's Godfather 2 all over again.
Yep. So that was really fucking awesome. I'll move on. Savage Spidey number 3. Feel free to edit this down however you like. I'm on my ramble tip, bro. Any questions so far?
No, I'm loving it.
All right. Savage Spidey number 3 is my pick number 3. I'm very surprised that this series is on this list at all.
When I was surprised to hear it as well, even though it's a good book, but it's not one of the more popular Spidey titles.
Well,
dude, I didn't even know the dog was down here. I almost just stepped on his head. I was like moving my chair, and I was like, what the hell was that?
They've actually come a long way with this story. It was, interestingly, non-stop Spider-Man a year or so back. And it did not make it very far before that book got canceled. But when it got canceled with a big cliffhanger,
right,
where Peter gets turned into a giant spider. Everybody's taking this drug called A+, this new street drug called A+, and that's what Non-Stop Spider-Man is about, him trying to figure out what's going on with that drug and how to get it off the streets. And he's mainly fighting Baron Zemo the whole time. Like, Baron Zemo has something to do with the entire scheme behind this drug cartel shit with the A+, but nobody can really figure out what his deal is. And he has some type of relationship with this group called the Immaculatum. The Immaculatum, and their leader is a crazy-looking dude called the Kraken's Bane. And he has like a big metal, like wolf kind of shaped helmet. And yeah, they just fuck people up. The Immaculatum. To get back on track.
That sounds so perverted, that name. I don't know what. I'm about to immaculate.
Maculate on him.
I'm immaculate right on their back. Oh yeah, King the Nip.
So yeah, man, it ends with this. It ends with Spidey's fight these dudes, and he gets an overdose of the A+ stuff, and for some reason it interacts with his
Radioactive spider
radioactive
blood.
spider blood, and it turns me into a giant spider. So, and then they're like, "This series is over, but get ready for Savage Spider-Man," and basically like TBD.
You're like, we
I waited
didn't
a
think
mad
this
long time for
through.
Savage Spider-Man, and like I like the art, I like the writer, Joe Kelly. Really loved his stuff. Anything I've ever read of his, I've always enjoyed. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stick with it because it was just wasn't nonstop. Spider-Man didn't do much for me, but for some reason I was just like, there's just something interesting and different about this series, and I want to see where they're going with it. I hung on, and finally, in like the last couple issues of this Savage Spider-Man, I I'm really glad that I hung on because it started to make a very it makes a big social statement
Hmm.
because it turns out these dudes, the Immaculatum, are trying to do ethnic cleansing, and they've gotten people addicted to this A+ drug, and then basically they're going to release this chemical into the air that interacts with the A+ drug, and anybody that doesn't have matching genes, like anybody that has mixed genes, is just supposed to like
Disintegrate.
die.
Wow. Seems like the plot of Batman '89. When when the Joker was like, if you take this in combination with this Joker product, this, and then I put this gas, and then you just
But
end up with a rictus grin on your face. It's
racist.
very, but racist. If the Joker, which is funny because the Joker's like racism. He was like, I may be a serial killer, but I'm not racist. That's disgusting. So it just shows how terrible racism is when a serial killer is like racism. Ugh.
That's the whole. I feel like most of the series, Baron Zemo has been against the Immaculatum, and then all of a sudden in this last issue, he was like, he was almost like, "Oh, what you're doing is too much," and then
Right.
and then in the last issue, it just became convenient for him, and he was just like, "Yeah, it seems like a good idea. I can get down with this."
You know, where you're like, oh, ethnic cleansing. Okay, I could, now we're talking.
My pick number 2,
Deuce,
Thor number 25.
the son of Odin. I mean, Odin's son. I said that backwards.
By Donny Cates.
No,
King
right.
Thor. At this point, he's King Thor, King of Asgard, and a little backstory on this series. Odin has recently died, and Odin's consciousness, when he goes to, it's funny because it's almost like it is in the movie when they show Valhalla.
And it turns to
He goes to Valhalla, and nothing's there.
Just
it's like the opposite of what we see in the
right.
movie. So
and the movie is beautiful. It looks
where is
almost
it?
like Norway.
Starts crying. So his consciousness has inhabited Mjolnir.
Oh shit! I
So
imagine that would give it a hefty power boost.
Yeah, but he's also like taking control of Mjolnir and doing things that Thor doesn't want him to do.
Nice.
So that's what's been going on with Thor in a nutshell. Thor number 25 is actually part 2 of this big Thor Hulk crossover that they're doing. Basically, just because they can easily do it with Donny Cates being the writer of both books.
Right.
I mean, it's always easy for a writer that's doing multiple book books to cross over those titles.
Natural synergy, because you know where each is going, so you can just weave in and out.
Exactly. So, and everybody knows that, like, Thor and Hulk is a classic mashup.
Yeah.
Matchup. You can't go wrong.
One of my favorite animated movies, Thor versus Hulk. If you haven't checked out Thor versus Hulk, fantastic.
Dude, yeah. And then and that's also paired with the
Wolverine
Hulk versus Wolverine movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have that on my Apple. I actually bought that when people bought movies. I have that saved in my Apple iCloud.
That's good because you can't find it on digital right now.
You're right. And I have it saved in my Apple. I can pull it up anytime and stream it.
Got it on DVD, but like DVDs look like shit when you try to watch them on it.
Yeah, it's funny because I have a huge DVD collection. Don't have a DVD player, but I was like, I have a PS5, and I put it in. And I was like, wow. I was looking at Two Towers, Lord of the Rings, and of course it's on 4.3 letterbox, and it wasn't high def, and I was like, oh my god, it looks like I have sand in my eyes. I'm gonna have to reorder this. I can't watch this shit anymore.
Exactly. That only lasted for but so long.
Facts.
Watching the DVDs on the flat screen TVs.
Yeah, no, they look like trash. It's all about streaming now.
Blu-rays, though. Blu-rays
are fine, and now they're cheap. I remember when Blu-rays first came out; they were like $35 a pop. Now you can get them for $9.
I was just talking to my girl about how video games have always been expensive.
Yeah, they were $50 when I was 7 years old in 1988.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, I paid. The first thing I ever bought, my parents made me save up money to teach me how to count money.
Right.
Do chores and gave me money for the chores, and I saved it up, and then I was allowed to go buy Super Mario 3 for regular.
That was the first game I bought on my own, bro, from babysitting.
Yeah,
first game. And I got stolen. DeMario, I forgot your last name. You stole it from me. He asked me to borrow it, and son of a bitch, he was like, he let me borrow Tiger Heli for Super Mario 3. Not the same quality. Super Mario 3 was the hottest shit around. Like, he could fly. Let him borrow it. And then when I asked for it back, he was like, okay, well, just bring me my game back. And I had the game in my book bag. And he was like, where's the game? I was like, in my book bag. Didn't know one of his friends went behind me, unzipped the bag, took it out. And when I looked, I couldn't find it. And he was like, well, if you don't give me my game back, I can't give you your game back. And I was like, that's fair. I lost your game. And then as I was leaving, like, it all played back like a Batman solving a mystery. And I was like, wait a minute, that son of a bitch went behind me and unzipped my bag. And I had to like send my big brother over there to get my game back. Because I was like, dude, he stole my game. My brother was like, I'll beat up a kid, no problem. Knocked on his door. I was like, if you don't get my brother's game back, I would have bust your ass.
That's what people will do for Super Mario Brothers. But inflation hasn't done that much to games. I mean, geez.
Yeah, no. They just went up to, what are they, $69?
The DLCs that cost money. They get you with that shit.
But special editions.
Back to Thor. Well, back to Hulk. To bring people up to speed with Hulk, because these things are both relevant. I would not even get into explaining it if it wasn't entirely relevant to reading this book. So if you want to skip straight to Thor number 25, I want you to know what's going on. So what has occurred in Hulk is we don't really have a lot of backstory at the beginning of this run of Donny Cates. Al Ewing's run ended magnificently. The leader is defeated. The devil Hulk is defeated. Like, Hulk has basically defeated the devil and is immortal and everything. And he is, he's built a bond between all of his various psyches and stuff like that. So they should all be getting along. They all bonded together to fight this ultimate evil force at the end of Immortal Hulk. And this book kicks off in a completely different place, where something happened in El Paso, Texas, where the Hulk is being accused of murdering a bunch of people in a bar. The Avengers are out to get him, and he jumps in an interdimensional portal that Tony Stark built. Basically, like, you know, whoops his ass.
Right.
Like, I'm going.
I'm out of here.
I want to get out of here. I got to get out of here. And what he has done, you know, because anytime the Hulk does something or is blamed for something horrific like that, he himself wants to take action to separate himself from society.
Right.
And every time his action has to become more extreme.
Right.
Because, you know, like the writer has to think of something new.
Yeah, after World War Hulk, it's kind of hard to.
Yeah, he's been stranded on a different planet and became
Right.
a member of a different planet. So somehow, without knowing how, he has separated his psyche into 3 parts and has become Starship Hulk.
Nice.
And I don't know if you've seen pictures of this yet.
I have not. No.
Oh, you got to look it up because he's
I'm gonna
got
look it up right now.
He's got like gear built into like his face and shit, and basically the exterior is just a shell. And that's the Starship Hulk. And then inside is Banner.
I love how he kept the purple
It just looks
scheme.
crazy, man.
He looks crazy. I love how he still has the purple scheme, though, no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know if you guys can see it at home.
Yeah. He's got like shit coming out of him and stuff. Like, I don't know. He looks somewhat like mutilated.
He almost looks like it's very Cyclops with the helmet.
Yeah.
His legs look like Cyber. It looks like he has like an adamantium trunks on. You remember Cyber, like Wolverine's arch nemesis?
Yeah.
Looks dope though. Like I say, he's still rocking the purple no matter what.
So the consciousness of Bruce Banner is actually in full control, and he is piloting Hulk as if Hulk were a spaceship.
Crazy.
And he's like in the cockpit when you see him.
That's his consciousness, and he's made.
Banner is running shit, and the way he ramps things up when he wants to like accelerate and stuff is he actually has a fucking accelerator that'll like notch up a level, and Hulk, the consciousness of Hulk is locked away in some portion of Banner's mind where it's like a fucking danger room. And basically, like, he gets attacked by shit, and the harder he goes on that shit, the more power the Starship has. It's called the engine room.
Dope. I love that.
Dude, yeah. And so, like, and he like faces like crazier and crazier threats. Like, there's like giant zombie Wolverine and shit. Like, fights. And you know, depending on like the extent of the threat that Hulk is actually facing, that's what, you know, Banner comes up with in his psyche for Hulk to fight is something even crazier than that.
Super dope.
So he's that much more pumped up and angry. So Thor number 25 is part 2 of this big crossover series. And in the first altercation between Thor and Hulk in the first part ends with Thor chucking Mjolnir at Hulk. It hits Hulk in the head, which transfers Odin's consciousness into Hulk, and he's
Jesus.
in the spaceship cockpit with Banner.
Crazy.
So Thor number 25 is Odin in the cockpit with Banner. First they have fisticuffs.
Of course.
And then like Hulk's losing the fight with Thor because, you know, like Banner's not paying attention, you know, he can't do the controls and stuff. And in this issue, he explains to Odin what has occurred, like the you know, the beginning of this story that we don't know, whatever happened in El Paso, Texas. And he explains to Odin that basically he went to that bar just to go have a drink. He hadn't had an incident in a mad long time, has been in complete control. He defeated the devil. Like he's
Things
good.
are looking up.
Good. He's good. And then some dude bumps into him and apologizes, and then starts to get angry, and then starts to grow, and then starts to turn green, and then everybody else in the bar starts to get angry. It starts to grow and starts to turn green, and everybody becomes like little, like mini Hulks.
Baby Hulks.
It's like they're like he is contagious. It's like the gamma is contagious now.
Holy shit.
And he fights them, and he doesn't turn into Hulk. Like he doesn't himself doesn't Hulk out. He maintains Banner form, but his eyes go black, and he fucking murders everybody in the bar.
Crazy shit. As Banner.
Yeah. And he's like, doesn't know what came over him. He doesn't know how he did that. And that's why he's just like, I gotta get the fuck out of Dodge. So he builds the Starship Hulk, and he fucking goes into Tony's interdimensional portal and ends up in the arterial dimension between space and time.
Crazy.
Yes, and he starts jumping through dimensions. The first arc of the book is awesome too. He ends up in a alternate universe where Banner never becomes the Hulk, and it's also very interesting. So we move on. Hulk number 7 is actually not my number 1 choice. It was a good issue, but it's part 3 of this Banner of War series, and it's worth mentioning. But it wasn't my favorite because it was a little bit predictable in that it's a classic like step up of the Hulk Buster. Tony actually shows up in a like celestial version of the Hulk Buster armor. It's just fucking gigantic.
700 feet,
like
which
the
they've
size
introduced.
of, like, a space station.
Yeah, they've introduced a version of that in the Arno Stark series. Remember when the guy came back and I forgot the name of the character, but basically Tony, not Tony, what's his father? Bill? No. What's Tony Stark's dad?
Howard Stark.
Howard Stark. Howard Stark and Maria couldn't have a baby. I don't know if you ever read that series, and you find out that Tony's not really their biological son, and that Arnold, and it was similar that a guy came back and designed a child just to power this god killer armor that could kill Celestials. And so they've done that very similar where he had a suit that was powerful enough to kill Celestials that was designed to limit Celestials. So I like hearing that back because that was one of my favorite Tony Stark stories when you find out that he's not even really a Stark and that he's just super genius on his own. And that's why the armor didn't work for him, because it was for the biological Stark, but he wasn't actually a biological Stark. And he was like, why didn't this shit work? And you find out like Howard and Maria switched the baby, and Arno's like an iron lung because he's super smart. He's actually smarter than Tony, but he has no physical strength. So he's like Iron Man and Iron Lung. He's just like it's a super series. I have to get the name of that. We'll talk about that on another show.
Yeah. Give me the name of it.
I'll get you the name. It's so freaking dope. They end up teaming up, of course, and he's like, Tony, you dumb. This is how you make an Iron Man suit. And Tony's like, oh, I'm just a dumb monkey compared to my brother. I'm not nearly as smart, but it's a super dope series.
So that all ends with this new Celestial Hulkbuster armor beating the shit out of the Hulk. And the Hulk explodes in a giant gamma bomb.
Holy shit.
And who is very closest to him?
Betty?
Thor.
Oh, God.
Thor is the closest person in proximity to him when he explodes. And so, Thor becomes the Hulk.
Which is crazy because I thought Thor couldn't be poisoned. You know what I mean? How does the gamma radiation hurt Thor? Well,
there is a mystical element to it.
Okay, all right. Magic, sure.
Viewing series, which is why he's immortal and stuff.
Right.
Like that. There is a kind of a godlike element.
Okay, that works.
To gamma radiation itself. Gamma radiation itself. Anybody that is gamma radiated is immortal. Now in the Marvel universe.
I like that. I'm down with that. I like it.
So that's basically what they did in the last series. They brought everybody that was dead back. And Thor number 26 starts with Hulk fighting Hulked out Thor.
Incredible Thor. I love it.
Incredible Thor. And I mean, all you really got to know is that, Thor smashes the Bifrost while they're in Asgard. Thor completely destroys the Bifrost. And Odin gives Hulk control of Mjolnir and basically the Odin Force.
So we have Hulk Thor and Thor Hulk, essentially. I love it. I love it.
And that's not the end of the series. That's where I'm leaving you.
That's a definitely.
I don't know what happens next. I have to read it in the next issue of Hulk. That'll be Hulk number 8.
Definitely gonna check that one out because I love some Hulk and I love some Thor.
Love it.
So what's the number one? What's the number one?
That was number one. Number one.
Was number one or was that number 2?
They were the number 2 and number 1.
It was Thor 25 and okay. And Hulk 8, got it. Okay, so that's all 5 Raps reads.
That's about Hulk number 7 because you got to read that to tie in Just read the whole bucket. I don't want nobody to get confused. Everybody, just read Banner of War.
It's good enough.
Look at a checklist online. Get all those issues. It's only 5 parts.
You heard it from your man yourself. So go to your local comic book store. Remember, support your local comic book store and ask for all those issues. If they don't have them, they'll order it for you. Those are definitely dope ones. So, Raps, thank you for the reads, man. We can't wait to check out all of those. So, moving on to our next segment, we're gonna do Mars movies, and a movie that we both recently checked out that we both love. We're gonna talk a little bit about those. That particular film. And for those who don't know, it just came out this weekend. Thor, Love and Thunder, the first OG Avenger to get a 4th movie. Technically.
No, I know. I was actually talking about that on the way out.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem like he's leaving anytime soon. For those who saw the movie, and spoiler alert now, if you haven't watched, log off, timestamp this part, watch the movie, come back because we're doing full spoilers. The movie's been out 3 days now, so they were people that were putting spoilers out before the movie even came out, like on Reddit. So if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to be spoiled, tune in. I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right. So now we're gonna go ahead and spoil it. So first, let's just talk about the movie. We'll talk about what we think, and then we'll just go in and just talking about the movie. So, scale of 1 to 10. Obviously, 1 being shit, 10 being phenomenal. What would you give Thor: Love and Thunder?
I'll give it an 8. I'll give it a solid 8.
I gave it a 7.5. And the only reason I gave it a 7.5 instead of the full 8, not enough gore. I think gore was Christian Bale, obviously, it's Christian Bale. He does his thing.
That's probably why it was not a 9 for me.
Yeah.
That guy was just...
He was just phenomenal. Probably my 1B villain. A lot of people said he liked him more than Thanos. I could totally see that. He was more, almost more vicious, at least from the Thanos that we got in Infinity War. Like, that was like peaceful monk on a mission Thanos. I'm sure if they ever did like a Thanos series when he was in his prime, he would have been way more evil. But yeah, I loved it. From Taka, what I'm just gonna say his name wrong, I know it. I'm just gonna call him Taka like I know him. He is the best thing that happened to Thor, period, in the movie version, because the first 2 directors gave it that Shakespearean, which I understand, Thor, but it just wasn't zany enough for me, especially Thor: The Dark World, which I don't give it all the hate that a lot of people. I think Thor: The Dark World, especially when you go back and look at the Endgame, you realize how important that movie was. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I give it a 7.5 only because more, not enough gore, but still my second favorite movie in Phase 4, by far. Only one better than
second favorite Thor movie.
Second favorite Thor movie. I like Ragnarok slightly more. I gave Ragnarok 8.5. It's only been 3 superhero movies that I've ever given a 10. Only 3, and I'll talk about that on another day.
All right.
But yeah, I love Ragnarok. Ragnarok is in my top 5 MCU movies overall, probably number 3. But yeah, I guess we'll just start from the beginning. You want to go over some of the plot?
I mean, damn, there's a lot that happens.
It's a lot. We'll give the cliff notes. Essentially,
he starts out with the Guardians of the Galaxy and shit. I mean,
would have liked a little more Guardians, I think, as well. I mean, I understand it's a Thor movie, and they don't want to put too much with Guardians 3 coming up.
Some more of those guys.
Yeah, I would like.
It's going to be more of a team up movie with them.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because Hulk was in Ragnarok the entire movie, and I think that's what made it a whole nother level. Seeing that interaction, I love them, because you see that in the comic book all the time. A Hulk.
I think they wanted Natalie Portman to be the main sidekick in this one, and
you're absolutely right.
And I really, really liked the way they represented her character. She wasn't funny.
No.
She was trying to be funny, but she wasn't funny. But that was also like part of the charm of the character.
Yeah, she's corny. She shouldn't be funny. She's an astrophysicist. She's a super genius of a level that few could imagine. She probably doesn't have. She can't look like Natalie Portman, be a super genius and funny too. That's too much.
You can't be good at everything.
You can't be good at everything. A lot of cameos, Matt Damon, of course, reprised his role as actor, Loki actor. Chris Hemsworth's brother played Thor, which was really cool, which I did not know he was in the final 2. It was the 2 brothers fighting for the role. I did not know that. They just announced that his brother was this close to getting the role. So I think that's hilarious. Melissa McCarthy playing actor Hela, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Sam Neill reprised his role as Odin. So tons of cameos. A lot of cameos got cut.
Saying there was 2 hours more of the movie last.
2 hours more. Yeah, Peter Dinklage had returned, filmed scenes as Eitri with Christian Bale. Jeff Goldblum had returned as the Grandmaster. They cut that scene, and then Lena, the chick from Game of Thrones, Lena Headey, she was playing Zeus's wife, Hera, and they cut her scene. So 2 hours, maybe there'll be a director's cut, but I think it was a phenomenal movie. It was so much that cut, but it's based a lot off of the Mighty Thor comic series, essentially the same plot. You saw Natalie Portman, Jane Foster's character, dying of cancer, which I didn't know if they were going to do. I thought that was going to be a little too heavy for the MCU.
I wasn't sure if they were going to do that or not, but
wasn't sure. I wish they would have made it that the cancer was a biological thing, but I felt it was a golden opportunity. She was infected with the ether.
Yeah.
They should have. I thought the cancer would have been from the ether, since anybody touches the stone essentially dies. That was a golden opportunity, right?
In the comics, they say that it was caused for her being in close proximity to
Thor. Yeah. So I think that would have added an extra level of tragedy to the movie. But yeah, Christian Bale, MVP by far. He was funny in some scenes, which I wasn't expecting from Christian Bale. Christian Bale scares me. I'm not scared of a lot of Hollywood actors.
He was creepy as fuck.
He's fucking creepy, dude. He's
and part of me wishes that he looked more like Gore from the comics, because Gore from the comics was not humanoid.
No. He's got tentacles on his head. He's missing a nose.
Yeah.
Wears a G-string.
I think they didn't want him to look like Voldemort, honestly.
Exactly.
He would have just been like, he's Voldemort.
But the thing is, if you give him the tentacles, he's not Voldemort.
He's not Voldemort, yeah.
He's not Voldemort. If you're going to do it, I think that was more of a acting choice from Christian Bale. If you're going to get Christian Bale to play your bad guy, you're going to make some concessions. And I could see him, like, I don't want to be covered in CGI. I act with my face. I want to show my expression. But you saw Thanos. That was Josh Brolin. In my nose and all of that. And they said it was a choice that they both agreed to, the director and Marvel, because they didn't want him to look like Voldemort. But yeah, I would have loved that look. But then again, I guess if you're going to have Chris Hemsworth's daughter playing a character that's technically Gore's daughter, now is she going to look like that monster for the whole movie? So I see why they did it. But yeah, I would have liked them to be a little bit more comic accurate, especially the costumes was very comic accurate in this particular movie. Yeah. I love the Golden Thor armor. That was wicked. The full mask, that Mighty Thor, Natalie Portman, even Valkyrie's new outfit and everything was very comic accurate. Sif, she came back
just like she does in the comics, right?
Just like the comic book. So it was kind of weird that everything else was completely accurate. Then Gore is just kind of like, yeah, man, I'm out of shape. Christian Bale is what I look like. But his acting more than made up for it. It's a very minute complaint. There was a lot of new revelations. The funny part about all the whatever Taika Waititi's character, or the Chronics or whatever, those rock people, that they're all dudes. That was that was pretty funny. Yeah, and we've got an introduction to Hercules, which is did you stay for the final?
Greek as fuck.
dude, I'm loving it because Hercules is one of the funniest. He's one of the funniest Avengers. I've loved what they've done with all of these movies in Phase 4. They've introduced someone new that we know is going to be a big part of the next 10 years. Yeah, and a big part of the new Avengers. So yeah, I was totally the guy who played Zeus, and that's what happens when I smoked before. Russell Crowe.
He was hilarious.
Hilarious. The fact that they gave him an actual Greek accent, he sounded just like the dude that gives me my pierogies. And I was like, dude, this is, I know this guy. I've met this guy before.
It was ridiculous. I loved it.
Ridiculous. All the gods, you know, in omnipotent city, the representation. There was so many huge concepts, and I think probably the biggest concept, eternity. That was huge. I never thought we would see that in not this soon. Not this soon in the Marvel Phase 4. I don't know, because to me it seemed like love is now eternity. That's what I picked up, because you saw when he was like, I want her back, and she eternity morphed into like a little girl, and now she has all these superpowers where she can wield Stormbreaker no problem. Which I don't know if you know, that is actually Chris Hemsworth's real daughter.
Oh, I had no idea.
When you're executive producer, you can pull some strings and get your, like, all of the kids in that movie was somebody in Marvel's kids. Like, all the kids that they kidnapped was somebody's kids in real life. Like, Christian Bale's son was in it. Chris Hemsworth's other son was in it. All of Chris Hemsworth's kids were in it. Like, young Thor in that montage when he's running, that's one of his sons. One of the kids that was kidnapped is another one of his sons, and then his daughter is Love. So he's like, yeah, you want me to come back? This is a family affair. And his wife was a wolf chick that he was hooking up with. So he put his whole family in the movie. Yeah, it was good.
It was good.
It was hella good. So like I said, you're giving it an 8. What'd you say now?
Thor will return.
Thor will return. I'm thinking Thor 5 is going to be Hercules versus Thor. It's got to be. It's got to be. It's going to be something to that effect. And of course, they'll team up at the end. I don't know if that's going to be before or after Secret Wars. I don't think we're going to see another Thor movie for at least another 3 years, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they took their time with this one.
Yeah. So I think the last one came out in 2017, and what is it, 2022? Of course, the pandemic slowed a lot of stuff down on the production scale, but still, even when you look at Doctor Strange 2, there was 6 years between movies.
Yeah, but you don't feel like it's been that long, because we've had Thor since then. We've had 2 Avengers movies,
right?
Where Thor is one of the main. Like,
same thing with Doctor Strange. He was in 2 Avengers movies, a Thor movie, and a Spider-Man movie. So even though it was 6 years, it seemed like we were seeing him every 6 months in something.
All the time, man.
He was going to be in WandaVision. They had filmed the scene and everything, but then they decided to cut it. So that would have been 5 projects that he was in between movies. So that's the beauty about Marvel. You can wait 10 years because these characters are going to pop up. So yeah, I'm giving it a 7.5. We're getting an 8. So that averages out to, I'm not a math magician, but like a 7.5. There we go. I don't think that's how it works. But either way, I definitely would recommend it. One of my second favorite of Phase 4. I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, that's not right. But it's
just adding the numbers together, right?
Then you got to divide it to get the average.
Oh, God, you got to divide it.
Yeah, so you have to add them together, and then you divide it by the number, and that's how you get the average. At least I don't know. I was a C student in math. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I'm no Tony Stark.
Nah. If I had to build anything, I couldn't even build Lego blocks. They were like, if I had to associate my intelligence level of any Avenger, I'm probably going to be more on the Thor level of intelligence. With kindred spirits, we have the same body too. Like never mind. But
I would put you at that at no, because Thor's funny, but Thor doesn't. He's funny because he's stupid.
yeah, no, I'm pretty stupid too. I just say smart shit from time to time.
I would say you're Star-Lord level.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll accept that. I'll accept that. Yeah, I'll do Star Lord. I'm a little I'm Star Lord level. I know some shit, but I'm also a jackass or whatever. I would put you more at a. I'll give you the Peter Parker. I'll give you Peter Parker level intelligence. I'll give you the Peter
What?
Parker.
No,
Yeah,
you couldn't make the string.
dude. But you make strings with your music, man. You count bars and you do couplets and you're just spinning webs of dope hip hop. I'm just like I like music. So yeah, definitely.
I'll accept it.
Yeah, Thor, Love and Thunder, very, very good release. Check that shit out. Some other recommendations because we're running short on time. But I did have some recommendations for Mars movies that I suggest you guys check out. So they're all not movies, obviously, because we're in a streaming generation. But Obi-Wan, if you guys haven't checked Obi-Wan out, super dope. Streaming on Disney Plus now, all episodes. I gave that a 7 out of 10. Umbrella Academy, another great comic book, brought to life on Netflix. I gave that a 7. Season 3 is out right now. Super dope. Stranger Things, season 4 is out. Not a comic book, but super dope pop culture. If you haven't checked that out, 10 out of 10. Season 4 was phenomenal. And Thor 4, 7.5 out of 10. So if you guys are looking for something after you finish reading these dope rap reads and finish listening to education and finally listening to you run that back 100 times, and after you run it back 100 times and you pick up that new dope ass Johnny Smith part-time rapper album and run that back 100 times, I want y'all to watch those 4 programs and read those comic books. So that's what I got for y'all.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. So, brother, I'm gonna give you the close. I'm gonna give you the closing words. Let the people know what you want them to know.
Guys, I just want everybody to hug your loved one and just get comfy. Just get comfy.
Get comfy. Give them that love, and if they act right, give them that thunder. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yes, love and thunder. It was all about love today.
It was all about love. It literally, the title was literal. It was literally a literal title. So it was very surprising. Not what I thought it was gonna be. Even better than I thought it.
Mushy love. It was people working through their problems.
It was people working through their issues, and it was the whole. I know we've talked about the movie. I'm spoiler, but we're not one of those networks that are going to be like, if you look in the background, you saw eternity taking a dump. We're not that type of show. We're regular, this came from the book from 1964. Now, you could go to one of the other YouTube channels for that.
Shit, man.
We're giving you that regular, raw, real shit as far as reviews. And it's a dope movie. It's take your chick or your fella or both, whatever you roll with. It's all love here. And it's a good date movie. It's a good date movie. It's a romantic com. It's a rom-com for real, with some scary shit. So I'm excited to see what the future for Thor 5 is going to be. I think, because that's kind of what I think this is not the last we're going to see Natalie Portman. I think she will be back as a Valkyrie. That's kind of what happened in the comic book. We know, if you guys have been following, there's a lot of planes of realms of existence that have been introduced in the MCU lately. You start with the ancestral plane from Black Panther. We've seen the Egyptian D.E.N. introduced in Moon Knight. We've got Valhalla introducing Thor. So we're seeing all these afterlives that, come Secret Wars. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these characters come back. A Heimdall and a Valkyrie resurrected for some time. It's going to be some good shit. So I'm excited. Marvel has introduced. I just want to see Jeffrey Wright as a Watcher just one time in live action. He was dope in What If. I want to see him in live action. But other than that, I like to see Mistress Death be reintroduced. We're going to see all these, but Time Secret Wars, I think we're going to see all of these characters, and I'm interested to see if they're going to do it with Emperor Doom, or they're going to do God Emperor Doom, or going to kind of change it with Kang. I don't know, but I'm excited to see where Marvel goes. Very. So
they can go anywhere they want now.
Anywhere they want. Affinity has been introduced. There's nothing that it can't do now. So if you're looking for some villains, we're available. My man Raps has some acting experience. I've done some. You can't find my work on Tubi or anything, but I've done some screenplays. And so, hey, check us out. We're available. If you need some Marvel guys, writers, actors, we're available. Soundtrack, whatever you need.
Totally available.
Give us a call, Feige. You can DM me. I answer most of my DMs.
Lots of free time on my hands. Totally available.
Same here. I will put the podcast on hiatus for 6 weeks to do a little movie. It's not a problem. Not a problem at all.
No problem.
But as always, guys, I want y'all to smash. You see what I did there with the Hulk? Smash that like button. Hammer that like button. Love that like button. Comment, subscribe. Tell us what y'all want to see next. Second half of season 1. Thank y'all guys for the patience, but we are back. We're going to be back bringing those episodes every week like we know you love. I've been getting comments. What's next? But check out those 5 comments. Check out Love, Thor, and Thunder. Super dope. Check out that music coming from my man Raps. And other than that, I don't have anything. You have anything else, bro?
I got nothing else.
All right. Well, Excelsior. Deuces.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Same bat channel. That's not a bat. Never mind. I don't know what that was. That was not a bat.